Hello students, today I want to explain about micturition. What is micturition? But first we have to know what is micturition. What is the definition of micturition? Passing out of urine through the urethra is nothing but micturition. That means urination. Urination is nothing but micturition. So in this micturition, what is the process involved? What is the mechanism involved? We have to know. So if you see here, this is the urinary bladder. This is the urinary bladder. First, I will explain some of this. So this is the urinary bladder. This is all the urinary bladder. Up to this is a urinary bladder. Okay. Here, this is the ureter. This is the ureter. This is the ureter. This is one ureter. This is the other ureter. So next, this is the urethra. This part is the urethra. This part is the urethra. Okay. So what are the parts involved? This is the urinary bladder. This is the ureter. This is the urethra. This part is the urethra. We have to know about some of the important muscles which are involved in this micturition. What are those muscles? Means first muscle is detrusor muscle. Detrusor muscle. So where is this detrusor muscle? The detrusor muscle is present in the walls of the urinary bladder. This is a urinary bladder where you have the detrusor muscle. Detrusor muscle. What is the function of this detrusor muscle? Means it helps in contracting the urinary bladder and helps in the urination. Okay. Next, here you see you have two muscles. One is the internal sphincter muscle, external sphincter muscle. So we have two other muscles. One is the internal sphincter muscle, other is the external sphincter muscle. Then for example, if you want to move through a room passage, there will be, if the doors are open, automatically you can pass. If the doors are closed, there is no further passage. So it for the urine to pass or not to pass, what is required means these internal sphincter muscle and external sphincter muscle, they work as doors. If the doors are open, the urine passes out of the urethra from the urinary bladder. If the doors are closed, that means closed automatically. The doors are closed means, I mean that the muscles are, if they are closed, automatically there is no passage of urine, and urine will be retained in the urinary bladder only. So another thing I have to explain means the detrusor muscle, you see what I said. Detrusor muscle, the detrusor muscle is present in the urinary bladder. The detrusor muscle is under the control of the spinal cord. Internal sphincter muscle, it is also under the control of the spinal cord. External sphincter muscle, it is under the control of the brain. So please remember the three muscles I have explained, which part controls that. So detrusor muscle is controlled by the spinal cord, internal sphincter muscle is controlled by the spinal cord, and external sphincter muscles also is controlled by the brain. And external sphincter muscle is controlled by the brain. So what will happen means when the ureter, the filtered blood, what happens, when the blood is filtered, the urine is produced. The urine will be deposited in this urinary bladder. This is the urinary bladder. So the urine gets deposited. When the urine gets deposited, what is the condition means both internal sphincter muscle and external sphincter muscle are in a contracted stage. That means both they close the urethral passage. Both close the urethral passage, and automatically what will happen? The urine will be retained. In the urinary bladder. When the urine level reaches 300 to 400 ml in the urinary bladder, what will happen? Means the urinary bladder vessels start stretching. So when urinary bladder muscles, when they start stretching, this urinary bladder muscle, this is the urinary bladder that starts stretching. Automatically, what will happen means the urinary bladder muscles have nerve endings. These are the nerve endings. See, you can see blue colored structures. That is a nerve endings. They get activated. They get activated, and they give signal to they send a nerve impulse to the spinal cord. They give the nerve impulse to the spinal cord. That means the information is given to the spinal cord that the urine has been deposited around 300 to 400 ml, and this causes what? Urge for urination. This causes urge for urination. When this nerve impulse from this from these nerve endings as stress receptors reach the spinal cord. Spinal cord does what it does means it sends three signals. It sends three signals. One signal it will send to the brain. It will send to the brain that the urinary bladder is filled with 300 to 400 ml of urine, and also it will send another second signal. It is sent the second signal. It sends to the detrusor muscle. What it gives the detrusor muscle means to contract the urinary bladder, and third signal it sends to the internal sphincter muscle. It sends to the internal sphincter muscle. Then what will happen? Till now the internal sphincter muscle is contracted, so it relaxes. That means one door is opened. One door is opened. Now the person or the individual or the adult person, he has an option to urinate or not to urinate when the urine level is 300 to 400 ml filled in the urinary bladder. So he has the control that he want to urinate. If he want to urinate, automatically the brain gives the signal to open the external sphincter muscle. Till now external sphincter muscle is not opened, so urine cannot pass. When the person thinks that he can urinate, he has the possibility to urinate. If he feels to urinate, automatically the external sphincter muscle has to be relaxed, or it has to opened. Then the brain gives a signal to open the external sphincter muscle so that he can urinate. He has the other chance also. What is other chance means he can retain the urine, and he till he wants to urinate by himself. So when it happens means the brain doesn't pass the signal. The brain doesn't pass the signal when he doesn't want to urinate. At this condition of when the urinary bladder is filled with 300 to 400 ml of urine, if he don't want to urinate, automatically brain don't sends the signal to the external sphincter muscle. So automatically the external sphincter muscle is contracted. So that means one door is opened because of the signal from the spinal cord. The external sphincter muscle is closed, so urine gets retained in the urinary bladder, and he doesn't go to urination. Now after some time, what will happen when the urine continues to get deposited into the urinary bladder? When the urine level reaches 700 to 800 ml, automatically what will happen? The person has no chance to whether to control the urination or not to control. Automatically the brain gives the signal to open the external sphincter muscle or relax the external sphincter muscle, so that the voluntary micturition takes place, voluntary urination takes place. That means there is no chance for the person to control urination. So automatically he has to micturate or urinate. So this is the condition of micturition. But in the infants, you see infants and young children, they urinate without their will also they urinate. They wet the bed. Why? Because there is no urinary bladder control which is developed in the infants or young children. It with the age that is practiced or developed in the individual, so that the urinary bladder control will be obtained. That means the brain signal there will be obtained. So what will happen means in the infants or young children, what will happen means when the urinary bladder is filled with urine, automatically it gives signal to the spinal cord. The spinal cord in response gives a signal to the internal sphincter muscle to open. Automatically what will happen? He urinates by without his will. So this is the condition. Next, Urinary bladder control is obtained in adults. From the children, when they become adult, automatically urinary bladder control is obtained. At these conditions also, adults, in some of the adults, the urine is leaked. This condition is called incontinence. Incontinence. Almost every day, a healthy person urinates 1.6 to 1.8 liters of urine, and he per day 25 to 30 grams of urea is sent out of the body through the urine. Next, this is the about micturition. So this is the micturition explanation. Thank you.